Welcome to Zero Hit Points, everybody. It's April, probably still. It's been a couple weeks, but I'm fairly certain it's the 17th. I'm Ryan Miller. He's also fairly certain it's Matt Amber.
Yeah. Watch your hubris, though.
Hubris was my downfall.
Making the way in the world today.
Is that from The Simpsons, or is that just a Simpsons-like exclamation that you use often?
What? Hubris is my downfall?
Yeah.
It's just something I've said for a long time. I'm sure it's in The Simpsons, but
all right, just want to make sure.
I just like to remind everybody that hubris is often the downfall of the...
Okay. It just reminds me of Simpsons Road Rage.
Good game.
Yeah, that's a fine game.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one guy, or I don't know if it's a guy or if it's just a soundbite that constantly plays whenever you hit somebody or every other person you hit, where he's like, "I regret everything," as he's flying over your car.
Man, do you remember, what was it? I think it was called the Simpsons arcade game. Was that not the one that was in the arcade, but like the one that came out, I don't know, now like 5-6 years ago? That was like a full-on 3D game. It had like the entire Springfield was built out.
No, I think that was just the Simpsons game.
Maybe it was just called the Simpsons game. And
for the 360?
Yeah, and you could go to like the land of chocolate and everything.
Yep. Yeah, that was good too.
That
actually.
was a cool
that was
game.
A good game. Yeah. Simpsons game's not a bad track record, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah, I think if you go earlier, some of them are like Bart's Nightmare, not the strongest game. And
Nightmare, no, but versus the Space Mutants.
Good game. Yeah, that was a good one.
Right?
I agree. I'll give you that one.
Not bad. Not bad.
Right. This is look, video game show, and we're talking about video games.
Oh,
who even
we did
knew?
It so quick.
Nobody even knows what the show is about, but we just I think
That's true.
defined it. I think we did.
In fact, check this out.
Okay.
The Zero Hit Points podcast is a show about video games. We talk about games we've played. We talk about games we might play, and a bunch of games that we'll never play or haven't played when we figure out what's going on in the world of video games. But one of the greatest ironies of this very show, we've been gone for 2 weeks, I've got non-video game things I need to talk to you about.
Oh my gosh. All right. I don't have any of those things.
Really?
I only have video game things.
It's been 2 weeks. I feel like something must have happened.
There is a possibility that I'm going to have a visitor
No, go ahead.
from Seattle soon.
Is it a baby? Is that where
he is a giant baby? He makes the music for the show.
What?
There's
Sliptide?
There's some discussion about Sliptide coming to visit me for a brief time to hang out and possibly go see Super Troopers.
That's pretty cool.
We'll see what
I'm
happens.
Jealous of that guy. I want to do that too.
All right, come on out.
I'm working on it.
All right, sounds good.
Stay tuned.
You're the only channel my radio gets. It's the only reception I'm seeing. I'm on RM. I'm on Ryan Miller.
Nice. That's it's a horrible station. I bought a new car.
What is it? Oh my gosh. How many cars?
Just one.
How many horses? How many powers?
I don't know how many horses or powers actually.
Does it detach?
I'm not that kind of guy.
Does
it's parts of it maybe. I haven't figured out all the things to it yet.
Okay. What's your new car?
Okay. I need to preface this with there's no way to tell people this, and I haven't told anybody except for the people that have actually seen me in person.
A Toyota Corolla from 1988.
No, I wish. Man, are you kidding me? Funny story related to that. I had a friend from college.
Oh my gosh.
No, we'll get there.
No, I'm excited.
Chris, he's a great guy. We played a lot of games together. Fantastic person, him and his wife.
This is going to take a turn, isn't it?
No. Well, it depends. But we had the what's your dream car discussion, and when it got to him, he was like, Toyota Corolla. We're like, what? Like, what's dream car? Like, you choose any car.
Like, I want like the
Toyota
third
Corolla.
most stolen vehicle like on the list. It's like right after the Honda Civic and like the
also,
Geo Metro or something.
We're like, dude, you don't need to dream about that. You could steal one like later today if you wanted. It's pretty easy.
And at that point, like those are so stolen that like Toyota just ships a new one to the owner, and the cops don't even bother. They're just like it's like a Tonka truck. You know, you found it on the side of the road. Whatever, it's fine. Have your Corolla, whatever.
Shout out to Chris. He's in Germany right now. He's a good guy.
Deutschland über alles.
So I haven't told anybody about this thing because there's no way to tell people about it without looking like some sort of dirty guy.
You got a Ford F-350, didn't you? Dually.
I got a Tesla Model 3.
What? You did not even get a Tesla of anything. You got a model. You got a literal model. Like it's like you got the DeLorean for Legos.
It could be.
You got that.
Could be. That thing might turn into that at some point, and I would just kind of shrug like, oh, it does that too.
Is this why you were gone for 2 weeks? You were trying to figure out how to tell me?
It was part of it. No, part of it was just getting it all together. No, it took us a week to put it all. So, because I got on the reservation list 2 years ago, right?
I remember this.
You might have talked about
this
it.
This is on the show. Yeah. This was on the show.
So it really existed.
As far as we know. Yeah. As much as we really do anyways.
But they didn't, like, there was no real communication. Like, there was a thing going around where maybe if you found out your number, you could divine, like, where your place in line was. But I didn't really get into that. I was kind of just a fire and forget. You know me. Take my money.
2 children later.
3, if you count the Tesla.
Now, yeah.
But we got an email like a couple weeks or so ago. No, this was a month or so ago that basically said if you get the extended battery and the premium package, you can get it in 3 to 6 weeks, or you can get the cheapo version that you always wanted, because that was the point of this, was that it's Tesla's first like affordable thing.
Yeah.
But that we had to wait till the end of the year, and there's a federal rebate and there's a state thing, and that was going to decrease the longer we waited. And as anybody who listens to this cast knows, I've been working way too much lately.
Yeah, impulse control. This is the worst impulse buy ever. Like normally you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna grab this candy bar, or I'm gonna grab this Us magazine that happens to have Angelina Jolie on the cover of it. You're like, no, man, I'm gonna grab this candy bar. Also, I will take a Tesla with this. Thank you and good night.
Yeah, that's what we did. So that we did it, and 3 weeks later they said we could have it. No, 4 weeks later, whatever.
And now you have it. Is it behind you, or is Candy driving it?
It's charging at the moment, so we didn't set up the whole, which is again why I'm a weird. Part of the reason I don't like telling people is because I'm not that guy either. Like, it's definitely the nicest car I've ever owned.
Sure.
But we saved up for 2 years for this thing, like scrimping and scraving, whatever those words are.
No, I get it. Scrimping and shaving.
But there's no way to do like an Instagram, like, oh, look at my new car.
Beth did it the minute she got her Jeep. Like, literally, it was on every single social media. She was like, look at my Jeep.
A Jeep's a pretty good exception. Like, that's down to earth. It's not like, oh, look at your Jeep. Was it like a Land Rover or something?
No.
Jeep, it's just a...
It's a Jeep Wrangler. It's a...
Yeah, see, there you go.
Standard.
Nobody looks like a douchebag with a Wrangler. Somebody could.
The only people that look like douchebags with Teslas are the ones who are like, the car crashed itself. I was totally paying attention.
Yeah,
except
talked about that guy with the dealer, actually.
Well, like, every time that stuff comes up, I mean, no question, people need to be paying attention, but it's like, I don't know.
No, yeah, Tesla stocks always fall, and then Tesla comes out like, dude, the guy got like 7 warnings that are all standard.
Right. Like, the car literally said, you are going to die now.
Yeah. And it does. The fun thing about this one is that we didn't pay the extra to get that. The levels of autopilot and self-driving are different. Like, actual self-driving doesn't technically exist.
Sure.
But you can pay $5,000 and you get auto steer added to your autopilot, which is technically just cruise control. But we didn't pay for that because you can just that's like an OS upgrade. Like, that's built in. You get it at any point because all the sensors are still there. So we were just like, well, let's not go crazy. But it was there anyways. We didn't pay for it. Got it. But if you switch that thing on and then it gives you the warnings and you ignore it, it'll kick it off, which I think is what happened to that one guy. And then if you do that, I think 2 times in the same driving session, it just turns the whole thing off. You can't use it at all.
Yeah, your car just shuts down and just pulls you over.
Yeah.
Wakes
you up.
You are unable to operate a motor vehicle. Please contact OnStar.
Yeah. But yeah.
Not available in Tesla.
We could go on forever, but I had to tell somebody in a format that would, lend some nuance to it.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's similar to when you're like back in film school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me qualify that for a while.
Yeah.
I've said it again. Yes. No, you're right.
No, that's super cool, man. I'm super stoked for it. I can't wait to come down and visit and have you auto drive me somewhere.
Or me come up, because now I'm like, hey, road trips are cheap.
Yeah. You don't even have to. You can sleep in the car. You can.
Then I would not make it there.
You know what's awesome is, like, it's the perfect vehicle to eat breakfast cereal in. You don't have to worry about, like, Oh, stopping and going. Car does it for you. You just have your bowl of
yeah.
cereal. You're just going to town. Yeah.
Drop a Cheerio, a little Roomba comes out from underneath.
Yeah, DJ Roomba. It's one of the best.
It's trademarked. We can't technically.
JD Roomba then. Whatever. I don't care.
We used the Tesla, then go see the Aquabats. They're still good. That was another thing I did.
I saw you saw the Aquabats.
Yeah.
Pizza Day is my favorite day.
They did that. That was one of the encores.
It's got to be.
This was a fun one because I bought I've noticed a lot of more bands doing this. They take a whole album and they just perform that whole album from back in the day, right?
Yeah,
I've got
a couple bands that I really, really like have done that in the past, and it's
cool.
Really novel.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of times there are songs on those records that they just don't play live. Like you just don't hear it.
And there were a lot of those. Like they went through, they're like, well, this song I don't think we've ever played.
Right. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. But it was cool because they did Fury, which is their album that, basically I started with and was the big one that we all listened to in high school and growing up. And it coincided with my daughter's birthday. So me and her just went down and I was like, hey, check this out. Stupid thing being, I bought tickets for that night and it sold out. And then I tried to get the VIP tickets, which it's a meet and greet. You can go talk to them, which I used to do when they weren't, I don't know if they're big enough to have meet and greets, but when they weren't seasoned enough to have meet and greets, I used to just hang out after the show and I've talked with them a whole bunch. So it was going to be fun to be like, hey, remember me? But I missed the VIP for the night show. And then when that sold out, they put on another show or scheduled another one for that day. So I got tickets for the VIP for earlier that day, which ended up being tickets for the actual early show and no meet and greet. So it was kind of stupid. Then I ended up selling the tickets, my night tickets, scalping them just down the line, and then found out later that the night show was obviously the one that I wanted to go to. Like Travis Barker. Travis Barker started with the Aquabats.
Yeah.
They got him back in. He came in. Yeah, he was there. Like, it was a true reunion. Not that the show wasn't good during the day, but
different.
Yeah.
Just different.
Yeah.
But this is a video game podcast, so let's talk about video games.
Is it?
Okay. I have spent time playing video games.
Please.
I did it.
I want to hear about it.
After much deliberation, after following a couple of people on Twitch and just watching, I finally decided to take the plunge and get into Dead by Daylight, which is similar in many respects to Friday the 13th and Evolve, where it's a 1v4. And one person is a killer, the other 4 are survivors. This is a little, again, very similar in many respects to Friday the 13th. So your killers all have perks that you can get, and there are add-ons that you can put on, and the survivors have perks and add-ons and different things. And it's a very simple game with enough depth to kind of make it a little harder to just nail down as a simple, like, it is just this, because there's lots of strategy to what you're playing, which perks you're using, which killers you're using. All the killers are different, like so they're not just like with Jason, you're kind of chasing you're changing Jason based on
skins and stuff.
Essentially, yeah. And I mean, the skins do have changes to what he can do, like how fast he moves, but these are the way they kill is different. The options that they have is different. So there are some licensed characters. There are original characters. I only spent.
Didn't they get Texas Chainsaw at some
yeah,
point?
They've got Leatherface, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, and Amanda
Hug and
from
Kiss.
The Saw.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
from Saw. Amanda from
Bynes.
Saw. Yes, also from Saw. She was great.
Whoa! I just scared myself.
Terrifying.
Sorry.
Great though. And then the survivors, they have two of the licensed survivors. One is the Danny Glover character from Saw, and then the other is Laurie Strode from from Halloween. Neither Laurie Strode nor the Danny Glover character look like she doesn't look like Jamie Lee Curtis. He doesn't really look like, it's very much so in the name and the fact that they're connected. But it's cool, man. Like I played it for about an hour and a half. I only played one round as the survivor. I wanted to focus on the killers and kind of get used to that. I ended up playing the pig, which is the Saw character. They have the names, but they don't refer to them that way. So like Freddy is referred to, I think, as the Nightmare, and I think.
Oh, what? Really?
I think
they're not true licensed?
No, they are. They're licensed, like they're called Freddy, but like in the terms of like the game world. So it's like there's lore to this game too, which is just really silly.
Sure.
In that this world where this takes place is like it's an outworld for everybody, for everything. You're drawn there for another reason, and the fun thing about this game is the fact that it's not strictly about going and killing the people, because later on as you level up and you progress, which is not nearly as simple as it sounds, like you kind of have to win, you have to play and actually do things to level up. You are able to eventually just kill the characters, and that's fine. But for the early game, you are disabling characters. You're knocking them down so that you can go hang them on hooks. And if you hang them enough times, they die automatically. But if you hang them, like their friends can come get them, they can lift them off. They can try to get themselves off of the hook, but that can also kill them. And then eventually, if you have all of them, or if they're on the hook long enough, this thing called the entity takes them and kills them, and you get X amount of points for it. Jeez. So this game is less about you're not fighting the killer so much as you're running away, and you need to work together because you have to, as survivors, turn on, like, fix these generators that will open these gates. And while you're fixing the generators, you have skill checks that are very simple, like press a button, but they come up at random times. You can be interrupted by the killer. So you have to be kind of paying attention to everything going on around you. Whenever you finish a generator, a big noise happens, or if you screw up a skill check, another big noise happens, alerting the killer to where you are. If you are running away from the killer and you're sprinting, you leave red marks that he can follow. If he's hit you, you leave blood marks that he can follow. The game is it's kind of tried to be weighted in favor of the killer, but it's so far I have found that it's been pretty balanced, and I actually feel like in some respects early on it's weighted more towards the survivors. So
which makes sense.
Yeah, it's fun. It's neat. I'm digging it, playing it. We'll see. Keep going with it.
Have you touched Friday the 13th in a while?
Not in a while. No, since they've updated. I think the single player stuff is in there now. Finally.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, this was just like I said, I was watching some people on Twitch, and I've been eyeballing it for a while. So. Well,
hearing you talk about it and having only had experience with Friday the 13th, it sounds like Dead by Daylight is kind of benefiting from being around a little bit longer. Because I remember when Friday the 13th came out, there was that thing where Dead by Daylight kind of seemed to push quick because they wanted to beat it to market, or at least become semi 1.0 to compete or something like that. But hearing you talk about all the things that are involved make it seem like it's been around a lot longer to have a lot more of these tweaks and little things about it.
They're going on next month, I think, or maybe it might be June. I'm not sure when. I think it's the 3rd year of the release. So, the game's been out for a while. Okay. I think you're right. They did do a big push when Friday the 13th was being released to get to console.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, it was the big push to console because Friday the 13th was coming on all consoles and PC and everything. So it's cool though. It's different. It's different because one of the other major differences with this is when you're the killer, you're in first person. When you're a survivor, you're third person.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't have an option to change that.
Huh. That's interesting though.
It changes a lot. It changes your, as the killer, you're more tunnel visioned. You don't have quite as much vision, and
that's an interesting choice.
It is. It's cool. I like it. It's fun.
I know the answer is they're different, but is it better than Friday the 13th?
They're different. I would honestly, at this point, I would probably say yes. I think maybe because it's different, because they're not like a 1-to-1. I think the major one of the major differences here is that they very clearly understand that people are going to play this game solo, and that's okay. Whereas
Friday the 13th did not really understand that.
Friday the 13th definitely punishes you for playing solo. This is definitely more of a, you do run into like 3-man teams and you're the odd person out. But from what I've seen and what I've heard and what I've just kind of in general, it seems like they like even the 3-man teams won't necessarily just leave the fourth out to die, because there's more use in having all 4 people going at once.
Okay.
Which I think is important. Whereas Friday the 13th, I think that's important as well, but it's not illustrated as well.
It wasn't a lot of teamwork last I played that game.
And part of that certainly comes from people learning things, about the game and all that and how things work. But yeah.
Also, it sounds like, again, little experience with Friday the 13th and having only heard you talk about Dead by Daylight, it sounds like they have found better ways to encourage you to be together.
Oh, for sure. Because one of the ways that you get points is altruism, which involves healing people, getting them out of bear traps, taking them off the hook. So you do want to do that because it is good. There are, of course, you'd be remiss without saying, of course, there are people that don't do it in the way that is intended, and they'll to the point where
what?
Like one of the examples.
What say you?
I know. People not playing the way is intended because you can play the way. I
thought this was online.
It is indeed. One of the things that I do see consistently brought up is there are small subsects of groups that will, like, when you get hooked, getting taken off a hook by another person gives points. So there will be people that will just, like, they'll troll you to a point where they're farming points there. As soon as you get hooked, you'll get brought down. Then the killer will just knock the person the person that was hooked, put him back up, and it kind of goes back and forth. But I haven't, again, I don't think I've run into that. If I have, I didn't notice it.
There's always going to be some idiots like me going for points. That's what you got to learn.
It's how you do it. Points. Yeah. Dead by Daylight.
So now I'm interested in that game. I want to go do some hook boosting.
Yeah. The other one of the other the last kind of interesting thing I'll say about it is, as you're playing, one of your ways to level up your characters is they have a thing called a blood web, and the blood web it's basically a kind of a perk system where you have, like, different things will come up and you choose how many points you want to spend in them, and you get points throughout the match for doing things like hooking people or unhooking people if you're a survivor, what have you. Being a hooker always gets lots of points.
Always points.
Yeah, great points. So the cool thing is that while the blood web will have static perks, the other ones that show up are not. It's randomly generated. So procedurally generated, I should say.
Sure.
Much like the levels all kind of have a base kind of look to them, but where things are, so where the generators are, where the hooks are, where things just are, that's also procedural. So while the idea of the levels may be very similar and easy to understand, where things are move around, so you can't,
Smart.
Yeah, it's cool. There will be more discussion about this as we go, and we'll see. See how people feel about it.
Playing on PC, I imagine?
Indeed.
Okay.
Pick.
What have you not been playing on PC?
I have not touched Far Cry on PC even a little bit. However, I played a ton of it on Xbox. I did it, dude. Ryan, I've been doing it. I haven't done it. I'm not done, but I've been doing it. Look. I've mainlined this story. I
assume you mean you're getting to the story, actually.
I am doing it. I am in the third portion of the game, the last of the seed siblings, before I get to John.
Seedlings. You're welcome.
That freaking reminds me. I totally remembered what I forgot to talk about the last 2 weeks that I did.
Oh, cool. Can we go back? Is it too late?
It's too late. It's too late.
Can you give me like a 3-sentence, or do you want to save it?
I went to New Orleans. I saw my son. We went to WrestleMania.
You're right, dude. Okay, that was a pretty good one to gloss over.
Don't worry about it. Everything was good, and that's that. So Far Cry 5, though.
Okay.
I'm almost there. I'm finishing out the story, and it's fine. It's everything that I said before, where they are getting to the point where they're pushing specific ideologies, but they're never going to push over, and they're definitely doing the thing where they kind of are taking some of the basic right-wing talking points, and not necessarily the far right. I'm talking strictly about, when you talk about right-wing talking points, you talk about guns, Second Amendment, I should say.
Sure.
Heavy in the religious area.
Mm-hmm.
They do mix some of these into the good guy role, quote unquote, where they have characters that are super stereotypical archetypes of like, I want my Second Amendment, and and they actually call out, they're like, libtards won't take my guns, and if they try to, but they're your good guy friends, so it's like, oh, okay, it's fine, and so they do a little bit of play with that, but never anything more than very, very surface level. I thought them libtards were going to take my guns, but it sounds like these religious freaks are going to be the next ones to come, and it's, all referencing the Eden's Gate cult and all that. And
which could be an interesting, like, that's another instance of they could do something there, because technically now you've got the good guys and the bad guys kind of doing, coming from the same place in a little bit. In
some respects, yeah. And it is that there's a ton of political overtones that especially now are relevant, and they're not doing it. It's basically what they're doing is they're saying, hey, these things are happening out there. We're aware. We know. But the underpinning portions of the game with the story and stuff, they're fine. They're well put together. The characters are interesting. One of the things that I will call out immediately in this game that it's definitely one of the pieces that I find to be lesser in the game overall. They make this point about early on that there's this stuff called the bliss, and the bliss is the drug that they use to kind of get people, either you're going to be dipped in the bliss and you're going to see the way, or you're going to be dipped in the bliss and become a zombie. Those are kind of, and they call the zombies angels. And one of the characters, one of the seedlings, as it were, Faith, who we find out is also not the first person to be called Faith Seed. She's just the current one.
Oh.
She has some weird ability to not only teleport people to places, which they again, it's like they're playing with the idea that the bliss is mentally screwing you up, but it's not all the time. So like there will be times you'll shoot it's a bear, and then this like bliss thing will happen where it'll poof, and now it's a cougar or it's a wolf. Or you'll be walking through somewhere and there'll be a bliss thing pops up and there are angels there suddenly. And and then she has the ability to like pop up and she's there and you'll talk to her. And this was something that was brought up before, and I'm finding is all 3 points now. You will be told you're being hunted, and that a gathering party is coming for you. At that point, you basically can't do anything. It's stupid. I actually did find a way to delay it it popped up. I went and started a mission, like a story mission, and it delayed that. Literally the minute the story mission ended and I got the pop-up, I was shot with an arrow and was taken away.
Not even a story way to delay it, just a mechanical glitchy way to delay it.
And there have been a few weird glitchy things, but it's Ubisoft and we love ubisoft.com. So the that particular character has, out of all of them, kind of pulled me out of what pseudo reality there was in the game, I guess, because she can transport you places and she's there, and then you're in a place that is clearly supposed to be like it's Eden. It's like it's a veritable paradise. But then you come out of it and you're randomly somewhere and your friends have you. Like, it makes no sense.
Right. Well, it's at least very Far Cry. Like I didn't play 4, but I played 3, and there's always kind of mental aspects to it. Like in 3, you're kind of going nuts. Like they at least had Hearts of Darkness overtones that made that more interesting, or But yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like par for the course in a way still.
It is. And the other thing with this game that they do this is another one where it's like it's hard to put this, to say this without kind of somebody will inevitably take this wrong, but
you went to film school.
You may have gone to film school and gotten a Tesla later on. But they do a really good job of using, and I think this is something that is currently happening also, the whole religious persecution complex. And that's a huge part of the Eden's Gate thing. It's that we have this religion and we're being persecuted. And in their case, we're being persecuted because we're drugging people, taking them from homes, and then we're physically attacking you, as
right.
opposed to the religious persecution of, I'm not allowed to say what I want or do what I want, and there's 10 times more of our religion than yours, but you're persecuting me somehow.
Right.
So it falls along those same lines of that I think, and that kind of mentality.
But let me guess. They don't do anything with it.
No, it's well, I mean, at that point, it's seriously like it's that's where the line is drawn. Like you end up having characters that are like, before they started taking people, it wasn't as big of a deal, but then it's like, well, that's where you draw the line, is when they're kidnapping right. and drugging. Okay, I can't say anything negative about the gameplay really though, because it is great. As a shooter, it feels great. The different guns are fun. I still have a hard time not using the bow and arrow like all the time.
Nice.
It's still the most fun weapon in any game for me, is the bow and arrow.
Sure.
And I will say that one of the nice things is they give you the option to have side characters with you that never die, but they can be knocked out for X amount of time.
Nice.
They actually do work. If you tell them to shoot at somebody, the guy is gone and doesn't suddenly get replaced. They actually will kill like the enemies.
Meaningful impact to the world from your companion characters.
Crazy. And one of the highlights is having a dog that can mark people randomly and not pee on them, which is a bummer.
Oh, is that where the dog comes in? He's one of your companions.
Yeah. You get him right away. He's one of the first companions you get. But shortly, I shouldn't say shortly after. I guess it depends how you do it. You also can get a cougar, who I now have as my other companion. So I have this dog that spots everybody, and then a cougar,
Courtney Cox,
whose special abilities are, if there's tall grass, totally invisible, and otherwise it's a silent kill. So you just send the cougar off after the dog has marked everybody. You send the dog off, he'll go kill somebody, and then you just blow things up.
So you're just this walking menagerie at this point.
It's true. And
look what I can do.
Eventually I'll get another slot open, and my goal is to have, you can get a bear. It's a grizzly bear. That's like it's like a circus bear. So I'm going to have a cougar, a dog, and a circus bear. I'm going to be a violent Dr. Doolittle.
Oh, dang. I didn't want to play this game.
This is one that like, and again, it is. I
testing my limits.
So I will mention that in most other cases of Far Cry, with the exception being Blood Dragon, at this point, after all the stuff I've done, I'm kind of burned on it. I'm shockingly not. And maybe it's because I'm doing more stuff. Maybe it's because of the side characters, because like another side character you get is in a plane, and you could just have him bomb people, and he will just coming in and he'll randomly, like when you're being attacked, just strafe people and just takes people out. And there's somebody you get in a helicopter, and you can actually get into her helicopter, and she'll take you places. And I don't know if there's the right amount of interesting stuff to do along with, and there is just a massive amount. It definitely still has that Far Cry, Assassin's Creed. There is a ton of stuff on the map, and I am forcing myself to walk away from the majority of it.
How much of you not being burnt out on it is that you're consciously trying not to do all the side stuff?
It might play a part. We don't know, but that's not to say I'm not doing it. Is that like I am still getting the missions? I'm still doing them in like piecemeal, instead of I'm gonna do 1,000. Like instead of taking this one section, which is the issue, right? Like I'll have the first region, and I want it clear of every icon. And I'm just kind of, you know what? I'll do some of them. And I'm getting all the side quests. So I'm finding out what they are. I have them in my list if I do want to go back and do them. And the ones that like what I've ended up doing a majority of the time, especially like the outposts is something that I've been doing a lot of, is I kind of am finding things to do along the way to a mission. So I'll do the track on the main story mission, figure out where I'm going. And then before I need to get there, I'll take a look at my map and say, okay, I'll do this and I'll hit this outpost and just kind of, maybe it takes me 40 minutes longer to get to the mission, but I'm getting to the mission. I'm still doing the mission and I'm just doing stuff along the way. So
that's totally how I do pretty much every game. Cause I mainline more often, but if there's an icon along the way, I'll clear it, it's efficient.
It is. And some of them you do get a good benefit for going out of your way of doing it, like finding the prepper stashes. That's the easiest way to get perk points. You get, because you get them immediately. They're just sitting there. The other way to get perk points is still to go back to the arcade, which I did find out you just have to play the levels that they put in there, and you level up, and then as you level up, you get rewards for doing it.
You get perk points for the story game from playing arcade stuff?
Yeah, from just doing the random levels, you can get perk points. You do have to. It's not like you play one level and you get a perk point. It doesn't work that way. You have to play. Right. It's a level system. So as you play, your levels go up. You get prizes or rewards, but you have to play more because your level. So it's expanding.
That's cool.
It's cool though. Like the last few arcade things that I've done have just been really super fun. They've been simple. One was an outpost, kill the 13 guys there. It doesn't matter how you do it. So you go in and it's one of those things where you go in, you kind of figure out, okay, there's an alarm, shut the alarm off. There's only a single alarm. Great. Now I can just go ham and kill everybody. It doesn't matter.
Was that a community thing or a Ubisoft thing?
Both. The ones that I have done have been Ubisoft related, mostly because they're the ones that I trust to not have some weird circular pattern or something that's going to be game breaking and dumb and just going to be annoying. So,
right.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's cool.
And then last thing we played together. We played A Way Out.
Yeah, and we got into that some last 2 weeks ago, whatever, but didn't go that far because we hadn't finished the game, one, but also because we wanted to maybe get into the weeds a little bit more.
I think so. Yeah, and I mean, ideally we were gonna try and put some video out with it, and it's super delayed due to technical issues on my part.
Technical issues.
The technical issues being that the files are very large, my computer is very slow, and trying to sync up audio and video when you've got a choppy video is real hard.
Files are large, computer small.
Yes. And I broke the computer open because the files were inside the computer.
Oh, again, we do a movie podcast. You might want to check it out.
Thursdays, Book Club for Movies.
A Way Out is my favorite conundrum of the year, maybe. It's great. I love it for reasons that maybe I shouldn't. Like, a lot of times it's just a QuickTime event or it's a cooperative QuickTime event that's just contextualized in a really cool way, or not at all, and I still enjoy it because it's cooperative or something. I don't know.
No, same boat. It's not a game that I think this is a game where if it was single player, nope. Not even. I like the look of it.
Much less, for sure.
And I would have said, yeah, I like the look of that game. And I do. I love the look of it. Because it does remind me of a 70s crime thriller or 80s crime thriller. And that's immediately going to be a selling point for me. The fact that it is a little dingy. It's nice looking, but it is dingy. And
looks great.
And something that we touched on 2 weeks ago was something that I think is really, really kind of almost unique to this game, in that instead of making the environments themselves these perfect, picturesque environments, even where it's kind of, like a trailer park that's run down, they did a great job of making the art fit the characters as well as the characters fitting the world. So the characters look like they should be there. It doesn't look like there's this picturesque, perfect, really crisp, clear thing right behind them that you can't get to. It all looks dingy. Yeah. It looks like a world that's been lived in.
And it adds to the story, but then you get down to kind of the actual story. It ends up being, number one, kind of boilerplate. Like, it's not doing anything narratively amazing, I guess.
No, it's. I would say narratively, it's interesting in that most times I don't think we run into this narrative in interactive games.
Sure, yeah, for sure. It gets worse maybe the closer you get to it. Again, this is coming from the guy who made Brothers, and we talked a little bit how Brothers was just full of these amazing kind of small moments. And those are here and probably the game's strength. Like, there's cool little slow motion moments. Again, there's instances, especially in the farmhouse, where you could kind of push and pull on that world. In fact, from what I hear, we didn't push and pull on that world enough, really. There's a lot of stuff that we missed. Little things that kind of jump off without warning, like just because you're doing something or kind of toying around with stuff. And it creates these cool little moments. Like the one we talked about was where one of us was playing the piano, one of us was playing the banjo. And if you do it, I guess, in time enough, it'll trigger this scene where we play it together and there's some dialogue and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So little moments like that. Like this game does that and it's really cool. And then doesn't seem to understand how people talk to each other.
Sure.
Like all the dialogue is super bad from introduction to finality. Like, again, the story's boilerplate, but it's fun and it's full of these intimate moments. And then one of the characters will meet their wife, and there's like no introduction or even like explosion. Like you think maybe because there's tension there, and they have conversations about each other's wives. But then when they meet, it's just like,
hey, where have you been?
There's no hello or nothing at all. It's just like they start conversating like normal people do, but they don't.
I broke out of jail. You got a burger? Yup.
I don't even think
Here's your kid.
It gets that close. Yeah, no, it's bizarre in that way because it's so intimate in like the interactive sense with all these little moments, and then it just has no idea what normal people sound like. So it's funny.
No, I can agree with that. There was definitely some flat dialogue, and even to the point there was some flat, not only written dialogue, but vocal. Like the voice acting was a little flat in certain parts,
a little weak.
Certainly not the strongest performances there. And
which did we find out is that I thought it was straight up Joseph Ferris, but the Leo is done by his brother. Is that what it ended up being?
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes, his last name is his first name. His first name is his last name, and it's not a single name. It's both names.
You get it right the first time, why try again, right?
Yeah, no. If my parents screwed that up royally. I was try number 8. I was like, hey, let's go ahead and not have any preemie kids. We don't want to name it. I don't know where we're going with this.
I do know a guy whose name is Jonathan Johns.
I know Jeff Johns. No, I don't know him.
I wish
I did. Man,
that's pretty good. Like you stuck with the J, but you switched it up a little bit. Who has a last name? Already knows their last name is John, and has a baby, and is like, what about Jonathan?
John Jones. Jones.
Now that's a Martian. I feel like he gets a pass.
Fair. And there are no Martians in A Way Out, which I think is also downside.
That's what we're working around to.
You touched on this earlier, and I want to just jump back to it. I think the fact that the game is truly a majority of interactive quick time events that are most often requiring both players to do either something together or something in conjunction with each other, not necessarily on the same screen. Was an interesting choice. It's an interesting plot device, and yet it totally worked for me here because I don't. And this goes back to what I was saying, where as a single player game, that stuff doesn't work that way. The one game I can think of that kind of has, and it's nowhere near this. This is like light years away, but has that similar. You've got two characters that need to work together and do something together that worked really well for me because I didn't play Brothers, so I don't know how that works out there.
It's better than whatever you're going to say.
Was Lost Vikings. And I highly doubt that because Lost Vikings was the best co-op game single player ever, where you had 3 Vikings, each of them could do one specific thing, and to traverse the levels, you had to one guy had a shield, he could lift his shield up so you could get on top of his shield.
Oh,
and it was so
it's Trine. I get two games confused, or it's another T game.
I'm not trying to figure that out right now.
Fair enough.
But that was the last game that I can like off the top of my head remember where something like that. And the game was far more action packed. It didn't have, it wasn't as slow. And I liked that. That was cool. But I had a hard time. I have a hard time seeing this particular game working as well. Partially, I think, because of just that's just not fun. That game style, I think. But also the fact that you have two very different characters, having two people, having another person to bounce stuff off, to talk about that with is I think really, really integral to making this game feel good.
Yeah. And they're smart about that. Like there's moments where we have to choose like Leo's way or Vincent's way. And there's no like mini game to parse that out. There's no like whoever hits X fast enough will win.
Right.
It's just we have to like it's all out game at that point. Like we just have to talk it out. And I guess when you release that video, you'll see we didn't necessarily deliberate a long time on those moments, but we did have our fun little thoughts about it. And I could see how that again putting that outside the game. Brothers, you mentioned it's different than the Vikings game. I'm sorry,
Lost Vikings. In that's kind of just the best co-op ending of any game, flat out, period, ever. All right.
I will say.
Because I will say that the ending to this game was not flat out the best ending of all
brings
time.
us to this. Well, it's emblematic because I love parts of it a lot, and we're gonna spoil it, and I think we have to because it's there. Also comes one of my largest issues with the game is in the ending. But what happens at the end is you find out, and one of my biggest problems with the story throughout was that there were all these moments where it kind of slows down and they talk about things and they're kind of trying to get each other to open up. Like, hey, what's the problem, man? Like, what's going on?
And it sounds exactly like that.
Very close. And then the other person would open up and there would be no revelation. Like it would just be like, hey, why don't you tell me what's going on with your wife? And then there would be a cutscene where it's just like, she's mad because he's in prison. I'm like, yeah. We knew that like immediately, like that. We knew that before they told us that. That was just something you assumed. So there's all these like non-revelations throughout. And there's one that I even wrote down in my notes that I can't remember. So it's that forgettable. But the only note I have is I fell down. So there's some revelation that it just ends up like, oh man, how'd you fall down? And then they reveal it and he's like, oh, he just fell down. But so when the ending happens, it turns out there's a twist. Vincent's a cop, and he's been kind of playing this game the whole time because they also wanted Harvey dead. And this is after the whole Harvey end game out in Mexico, which is actually pretty cool. Like that ends in a really cool, both of us just shooting the crap out of Harvey standoff. Like that was cool. But then the whole last half of this game jumps off that I didn't think was going to happen. Even I kind of saw coming. Like story wise, you should see it coming because it's that story. Like there's no surprise there.
I was so annoyed that I didn't see it coming. I think that was the thing that pissed me off more than anything. It was kind of weird.
But then, so you're pitted against each other now, and Vincent starts to chase Leo, which again is still being played by me and you. And you're trying to escape in a boat, and I'm trying to shoot you. And then it turns into a straight up death match. I'm not missing something. There's like 3 different stages to it, and I think I'm forgetting one. But eventually it turns into a straight up death match where we're running around the map, shooting each other, trying to get each other's health down. But during that stage, at least, I became disappointed because I was like, I got your health down enough, but then I wanted an option for, and this is the sentiment I've heard echoed most often with this ending. I wanted the option for, I back away and I let you go. I didn't want to kill you. Right.
Well, and I think the strength to that point is that in theory, you're playing with another person and you have to end that person's game. You are the reason my game is done.
Which I love, which is the part I love. Like I love the whole idea of this ending thing, and I can see why there's not an option. But the more I got inside my head, I was like, man, I wish there was a way to let him go. And then I started thinking, wait, what if the way to let him go was to not shoot at him while he was in the boat, like the first stage of this twist? And I'm like, did I just get, like I said, I'm getting inside my head now. I'm like, did did I just start to get too much into it where I'm like, I didn't think about it. Like I'm too much into the role at that point where I'm like, no, he can't go.
You're
like,
automatically there. Yeah.
Yeah. Or, and then later on I start to regret it. Like, oh shoot, like, do I actually want to do this? And then it starts to get really cool, but I'm still kind of conflicted about whether or not I wish there was actually some way to eventually back away from it. Cause there just isn't. Like it gets to the point where I got your health down and I had to do the final shot or not, and I could go back and forth on that, but the way there was literal rain in the shot that would reverse. So it was a moment frozen in time where you can only kind of hesitate a certain way, but definitely not get out of it. And I shot you in the head.
So thank you for that. But maybe just maybe now that I've heard you say all this, maybe that's kind of the point too. Like you killed me, you killed the character, and now you have to live with the fact that was the choice. Like that's right. like you get to go back and go, what if I hadn't done this? What if I had gone this direction? What if I had done that?
What if? Yeah.
Which is really cool because that's not something you get. That's not something I get from a lot of games. I don't get a ton of that regret where I'm like, oh man, I wonder what, because you can just reload or you can just jump and find out. But this is one where like it's a personal choice that in some ways like you don't have the agency to not make. But even if you did, you might not know that because you're there. Like, and I was the same way. I was like. I'm like, oh, come on. No. And then I was pissed because I was like, is there a way out of this? Is there a way? Whoa, please
mean to do that one.
You definitely need to put in something there, like bells and whistles.
Ding.
Yeah.
Okay. You just did.
They're perfect. But I was wondering, and I was like kind of annoyed. Is there another option for me? And I end up. And which brought me to the question of like, oh man, what if I had been the one that got all your health down? What happens then?
Yeah, I definitely want to go back and see that.
Do I shoot you? Because I want that revenge now.
I think there's a lot of you can't go back, but I would still be interested to see, like,
hey, you can
obviously we can't have this conversation again about going back and seeing what happens the other way because it's different. But
we'll have to play the whole game again.
That might work. There are lots of different jumping off points. And like I said, there's a lot of pushing and pulling that I've heard we did not do. And there's also achievements.
Well, you know me. I love a good push and pull. So that's our discussion on the way out. We'll try and get that video out sometime here in the near future. I'm hoping I get it out ever. We'll see what happens.
And I just want to spend zero time on this at all. But I'm almost, I think, maybe done with Puzzle Fighter. The weird thing that game has become, I like a lot of things about it. I like the premise. I like the way I'm kind of getting into the way, because you have 3 characters to your fighter, and those, based on the gems you can combine to do different things, are combinable in different ways that I'm kind of getting into, that I like, and are largely unobstructed by the microtransactions. So that's been nice. But then you get into like the actual minute-to-minute gameplay, and the way that thing is set up is that you're trying to create these gem combinations, but at the same time it's dropping these circle gem busters. So if they touch anything of that color, it'll destroy that. So basically you're trying to create these combinations while putting all these gem busters in the corner somewhere so you can complete the thing to actually perform the super move. And it just gets to be super annoying. It's really like that part of it is just annoying.
I totally lost it. Where am I at? Am I doing a super move right now?
Yeah, it's so whatever. I'm got a little bit more out of actually progressing online. Like I'm almost to the next rank, except I lost a bunch in a row, so I'm not really, but I don't know. Not much more. I'm building up one of my currencies to buy 10,000 coins, and I'm like 50 away, so I kind of can't stop at this moment. I keep doing this thing where I keep playing the single player. Remember I said last time, and I get up to like the last day because you can only do so many in such a time period, and then you're out, and I keep screwing up on like the last day, and I'm like 10 short, and I've done that like 3 weeks in a row. I'm like, freaking
daily challenges, weeklies are hard.
Yeah. And then I dove into Overwatch Retribution. I saw that thing was happening.
Oh yeah.
I kind of use it as an excuse to try out Bridget and Moira.
Her name isn't Bridget. It's not. It's Brigitte.
Is it really?
Yes.
Shut up.
You don't speak Deutsch. You're a Deutsch bag.
She doesn't make a ton of sense to me. They're both support. She took a little bit more getting used to. She's got a melee weapon that's got some distance to it on the alternate, but I didn't click with me right away, which isn't different for Overwatch. Like that game excels at characters that click, several hours in, and you're like, oh, I'm starting to get this now, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Miora clicked for me like right away. Like she's got a like suck it in and then spit it out support mechanic thing going on. Have you played all these before?
She's gone from suck to blow. Is that what you're saying?
Sort of.
I have
That's
not.
the mechanic.
I have not touched Overwatch. The last time I touched Overwatch was, I think the second or so week after Doomfist was released.
Doomfist, right? Yeah.
And
Doomfist.
I haven't touched it since. And I only played like 2 games then too. So
I played a little bit of him too, just because I have maybe 1 game previous with him, and he's fine. Like I'm closer to clicking on him than Brigadoon.
Yep.
Okay.
Brigadoon.
But I don't know. That game's still great. I still love it. And Retribution is a lot of fun. It's PvE normalness, not a whole bunch different. I keep seeing things about it. It's the best PvE ever. It seems like I like the PvE options of Overwatch always more than other stuff, but this doesn't seem terribly different from Uprising, which is now playable also in there if you want to go back.
Speaking of Brigadoon, you a fan of the Water Boys?
The Adam Sandler?
No, it's
movie?
a band. It's a band. Not it's
Oh.
it's not
Do
a
they
sequel.
sound like Adam Sandler?
It's not a sequel to that movie where now there's just like a litany of Water Boys.
Yeah. Are they all just doing like Louisiana, like
when I was
in
in Louisiana, I didn't hear anybody that sounded like that, and I was super annoyed by it.
I
don't think I was in the right spot. I think I needed to go further into the bayou though. We were in the French Quarter, so.
Well, I'm going to buy you some time and stop talking about all this video game nonsense. Because it's been 2 weeks. A lot has been happening in Battle Royale land, and I wanted to run through some of it because it adds up to something that adds up to another thing that's going to be worth it.
I highly doubt it, but we're going to go with it.
First off, start with a showstopper. Fortnite's been having just a gay old time, it seems, with updates. There's this rocket riding thing that happened. When was the last time you played Fortnite, I should say?
A couple days ago.
Okay, so have you rode some rockets?
No, it's never something I will ever probably do. I'm not skilled in that way.
Unknown whether or not they released this thing knowing this was going to happen, or if this was something that happened.
So rocket riding isn't new. People figured it out a long time back. What they've released now is a remote controlled rocket, so you can when you shoot it, you go into the rocket. You can decide where it goes. So people are now able to drive the rocket with people on it, and in some cases, I've actually saw a dude like the most insane maneuvering here. He fires the rocket, turns it around, switches back into his character perspective, shoots a rocket, jumps from rocket to rocket, and just goes across the map with it. Yeah. So
lots of fun stuff there. Apparently that's turned off at the moment because there's a glitch associated with it.
There's a glitch with that. They've been having all sorts of server issues too, like stability wise.
There was some downtime. It seemed like.
Yeah, they're
all after. Sorry, go ahead.
No, they're just consistently dealing with it. It's like every day I go to log on anytime between like 2 and 3:30 or 4. Oftentimes it is, this is not working right now or you're in a queue to log in because there's 1,000 people trying to play.
I was going to say, is it just because this thing keeps exploding?
Yep, like it sure is.
Scale up, like you just for the foreseeable future.
What are you doing, Epic? Not being epic about it? No, they're cool. They're releasing all sorts of stuff. Lots of new skins.
Yeah. This comes on the heels of version 3.5, which came out with the, I can only imagine, directed at me grenade of
the Portafort.
Yeah, throw a grenade, build a fort.
I have not.
The guy who doesn't like to build.
I have not seen that or played with it yet. That came after I played. I hadn't seen that yet.
And then this replay system, I guess everybody's pretty excited about.
No, the replay system is amazing. This is something that they very clearly ported over from Paragon, and it was one of the best things that they could have done with Paragon. So Paragon, one of the things it did have going for it outside of the fact that the they just couldn't keep it running was the artwork was absolutely outstanding. All of the graphic work was top notch. And they wanted to really show that off by creating a really, really robust replay system. And the way they ended up doing that was essentially every single game is recorded and kept on servers somewhere. And you can go in and from any perspective and any place on the map, you can start recording. You don't have to be on your guy. You could be on somebody else. You never have to even record your guy. You can see what's happening everywhere on that map at all times with everything.
And that's what they've done to Fortnite?
I haven't played with it yet, but if it's the same thing, which it's what it seems like, yes. And then the level of detail you can zoom in, you can pause. I mean, you can edit actual like movies at this point. People have done that.
I'm wondering if some of the server issues are just coming from increased load due to this thing. If they're just always recording every game,
it's possible. I doubt it. I am sure that the recordings are going somewhere else. That they're not the replay systems, probably on different servers.
Okay.
But it's possible. Who knows? I don't know what their setup is. It is a really robust system though, and some of the stuff that's already come out is incredible. This is essentially the replay system is that at least the Paragon one was like a dotted line away from how they actually did their trailers. They used that basic thing.
I love it. I love it when games do that. So everybody's excited about that. Drake and Ninja did another stream, so that didn't help anything. But not to be outdone, PUBG has had some of its own changes, it seems, or to have already been outdone. Maybe I should say.
Well, to be fair, after we've gotten a chicken dinner, they've got to change it because now we've broken the system.
They've got to change something. Obviously, something's wrong with that game. Not wrong with it. Xbox One is getting the map Miramar in May, which is just alliteratively pleasing.
You could have said alliteratively awesome.
Dang it.
Alliteratively amazing.
I am the PUBG of alliteration. That's Fortnite level stuff. Get that out of here.
Yeah. Build your alliteration better.
They've changed the speed of the blue zone, speed and damage, speed in the middle and end, and damage towards the end, which can be significant, I would imagine.
Yes, it can.
I don't have any experience with it yet, but again,
no, because we just get to the end and win.
We did. There's no reason to go back to that game at this point. And in what seems to me just a funny little afternote to all this Drake nonsense, they have some Walking Dead publicity thing that doesn't even feature. Like the first time I read this, I'm like, oh, they got some of the actors from The Walking Dead to play PUBG, or they found some that already like it or were tweeting about it and are capitalizing on it.
Nope.
It's just some freaking thing where they've got some Twitch streamers to pretend like they're on the Fear the Walking Dead or just the Walking Dead teams and play against each other in the zombie mode, which I guess exists. I didn't know that thing actually came out.
Yeah.
You neither, huh?
Yeah. Speaking of The Walking Dead, you watch that finale?
No. Did you go week to week on that thing this season?
I've never gone week to week. I catch up with the highlights of it because I already know the story, so I just need to see the beats and how they're using them.
I'd say that show feels like it's on his last leg just because you don't hear people talking about it as much. But it's AMC, so they're not going to stop making that show until...
We're going to have a talk about that, I think.
Okay. All right. I will get caught up and we'll have a little sidebar on Book Club for Movies. How about that?
That's perfect.
All right. PUBG also is, in addition to this zombie thing, they've got new events going on. This latest one is kind of a deathmatchy thing. It's 3 teams of 10. Is that what it is? I think team deathmatch type thing.
Yeah, which
anybody?
I heard that actually works really well. The deathmatch thing. Surprisingly, PUBG is like it's really that. It does something. It's something it does really well. Yeah.
I feel like that would throw the combat into relief, which has never been the strong point of that game, in my opinion.
I don't know. I guess it's something that works out, which I think is kind of novel. I mean, I really like, Fortnite did it too with their 50v50 thing, and they actually did the 25,
which is actually back with the last patch. We should mention.
They did and they also did the 4 teams of 25 as well, in Fortnite. Huh. So yeah, no, I think those are novel. Those are kind of cool.
So a bit of a mode war going on, like different modes, different kind of evolutions, and PUBG's not alone in that. They also have a new event called a new mode called War, or maybe that's the team deathmatch mode. Sorry, they have a shotguns only mode also that I didn't know about. That seems like my cup of OT.
Does it?
Yeah, man. Eliminate snipers, all close quarters.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I'm in there.
All right.
I'm in there. I'll give it a try. I gave first person mode a try. Like,
oh man,
my scruples are very few and far between. All the meanwhile, Lawbreaker Studio, Boss Key Productions, or something along that line.
That's them.
Somewhat unceremoniously announces the unceremonious end of their unceremonious game, Lawbreakers, by saying that it is what it is from here on out, and they're not even going to devote free to play kind of resources to it, which I guess it started free to play and then they changed to a premium model, and then everybody's like, oh, now you're going to go back to that since it kind of failed.
And then Nexon, who owns a huge part of Boss Key, said,
and publishers,
we will not put any money into this game, and that means no free to play because apparently it's work.
Well, the freaking statement from Boss Key is, quote, Lawbreakers failed to find enough of an audience to generate the funds necessary to keep it sustained in the manner we had originally planned for and anticipated. So they're not mincing words in anything but the business sense, maybe. But 4 days later, why this is important in the terms of what we're talking about here with Battle Royale is that they then came out with Radical Heights in early access.
Oh, Cliffy B dropping games out of nowhere.
Yes, very incredibly out of nowhere, it seems for them also. Perhaps
maybe
thing was in development for 5 months. They said it's in early access. All reports are that it's in very early access.
Extremely early. I did.
Did you play this thing?
Did download it and play it.
Okay.
Go. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Exceptionally early access. It's kind of a bastardized version of a battle royale game mixed with Smash TV. So if you're familiar with Smash TV, it was you were as a top-down game. You killed guys, you gathered money, and then you went and you spent the money to buy things. And it wasn't so much a find things as it is you're paying for things. Fortnite recently introduced something like this where you're still finding everything. You're still finding all the guns, but they also introduced vending machines. And this game is heavy on it. Radical Heights is heavy on the vending machine idea. So you do find guns in the world, but you are smashing cash registers. You're destroying things that have cash so you can go and buy upgraded versions, upgraded whatever, because you're going to find more stuff in the vending machines, I guess, than anywhere else. I cannot stress enough that this game is super early access to the point where I played it for a little over an hour and I deleted it because it was bad.
I'm not going to touch this thing. I mean, I would imagine it's not out on anything but Steam early access, but
it is super, super stiff. The gunplay is not good right now in any respect. The collision detection is super off, and again, all early access is barely even an alpha. I mean, and if they're calling this a beta, they should really rethink that word. This is not a beta. This is super alpha. There is, look wise, it's kind of that cartoonish thing. It's not quite as bubbly as Fortnite. It leans along more that kind of. They're kind of focusing on the 80s aspect. So like when you win the game, it plays "You're the Best" from Karate Kid,
nice,
instead of just saying "Victory Royale."
Lots
or whatever.
of BMX bikes.
You can you can ride BMX bikes around. You can there's no fall damage, which is kind of novel. So you can just dive off of things.
There's no parachute either. Like you come into the game just into the ground, right?
Just straight into whatever you land on.
So how does it? I get that it's garbage, but how does it look? Because that's honestly, I want to say it's a bummer that it's in this early access, but not really. Like I'm super into the premise. Like I like the look, I like the colors, I like where this could be going.
Yeah. Okay. So I will tell you. Okay. I love the look. I love the colors. I don't love the look at all. Okay. I like the idea of the look. This is. I am wondering if this is a Boss Key thing, because much like Lawbreakers, where go back and listen to what I said about that like a year plus ago. One of my huge issues was, especially in comparison to the other hero shooters that were out, Overwatch was the one that was getting the most comparison, not in gameplay or anything, just in general kind of look, feel, all that stuff. And one of my issues with Lawbreakers was that it felt very bland, and it felt very it was dull. Like, it looked dull. It was very dull colors. It was browns, and it was all those earth tones. And after playing Fortnite and Overwatch at the time, everything's brighter and all that stuff. I was definitely more looking forward to that. And this is like they took that. It's like I kidding. I'm not even kidding. It's like they listened to everything I said. And they just ignored the part where I said I repeatedly said it was bland. So they have all these colors, they have these characters, all this world. It looks really, 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 really hard. Like they're trying so hard to make it look like an 80s game, and it's just bland. It's a bland 80s look. Like the opening splash screens are kind of pixelated, and it's fun in the 80s style and neat, and they're totally trying to lean into it. It's just the look of it does not scream 80s to me. It just looks like a bland 2000s game trying to look like an 80s game. Is
it something that gets ironed out?
Very possibly. This is I put the caveat on this that everything I'm saying right now could change in a month, 2 months, 5 months. Who knows what the game is going to do? Maybe it does.
It's salvageable, you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, as long as they realize and are expecting this game as an alpha right now. Yeah, if it doesn't change significantly, and I think it needs significant work, then this game is dead in the water, just like Lawbreakers was. Okay. Because it is not right now. Everything that's in that game, it is not doing anything that is so unique that's the must-play game. That's the game that takes the ninjas away from Fortnite. It's just not. It's not going to have that feel, I don't think. And I think ultimately this is just going to be another battle royale shooter that is going to go by the wayside, because The legitimate thing here is that you now have to have something, because PUBG has got the realism kind of pseudo dynamic down. Fortnite has everything else. I mean, it literally has everything else. It's got the building, it's got all the look to it, the guns, like it all works. And then there are another subset of games coming out similar, like you get the Hunt Showdown. It's not a battle royale game in the typical sense, but it's battle royale in that. Right. You are, but it's got PvE elements to it. So that's a unique offering.
So you don't think this, at first glance or first play or whatever, is offering up enough unique stuff with like the vending machines and the cash and the economy and all that? And
I don't think I'm the only one, because I today was happening to look at Twitch, and during my peak times where I see those games popping up, that game's not up there, man. That game's down to like 2,000 viewers already.
Which it shouldn't be. Like, in the state that it's in, like, I feel like...
Sure, but they released that in the hopes that it was going to be like Cliffy B, it's a big thing, and it's not right now. And again, all this early alpha stuff, you could be very right. Maybe it is just people going, okay, I get the feel people are playing it. They're going to be your beta testers. They're going to be the people that are going to be hardcore about it. Are any of those people going to be the people that draw people to it? Are they going to be the streamers that are actually going to get people into this game? And again,
it's just really early to say, man.
Super early to say. And I'm hesitant to say anything with any kind of finality, but based on what I played and what I saw, it needs significant work before it is viable.
I am a little hopeful, because I feel like this... I mean, Lawbreakers was never my thing anyways, and Cliffy definitely has... Clifford,
the big red Blazinski.
Definitely has his Unreal Tournament roots, so I think that game made more sense there. But he also has his Gears of War roots, where I feel like that kid... He's not a kid. that name is going to haunt him for the rest of his life. That guy deals in excess like no other developer in a lot of ways. Like, he's a smart dude who has made some good games with good reason and with good, like, Lawbreakers, even for all accounts, wasn't a bad game. It was just a bad bet in a lot of ways, you know?
Sure.
But I'm kind of hopeful because I feel like this is way more in his wheelhouse, and I feel like he's, I don't know. Like I said, it's got somewhere to go, and it's got someone to take it there. I think that's perfect for it. So
yeah, I think this is a game that's going to, you know, we'll see where the money comes from on it and how it goes, because after Lawbreakers, I could understand why any investors might be a little gun shy with them.
Oh yeah,
you've got a major head, a major name with Cliff Bleszinski that made a game that didn't do anything. I mean, it died like a bad death.
Yeah,
it did not. It wasn't even like that. That was whatever is worse than unceremonious is what that was.
Yeah.
And
it's just, I mean, you see some of these people out here, they're like, why would you release a game that's only been in production for 5 months? I'm like, are you kidding? Like, I bet this is do or die for them at this point. And this is the surest bet they can come up with, you know,
and I have to assume, just based on what we're seeing, it was a rush of they went, what's going to be the next big thing? And they saw PUBG and Fortnite. And keeping in mind, Fortnite's now been out for almost a year. So
yeah, this is 5 months. PUBG was already a huge thing.
Yeah.
Fortnite hadn't yet exploded, maybe.
But it was getting there. It was growing for sure. And I have to assume this is a response. And this is them going. And like, I agree with you that this is we have a do or die moment. What's our next game? It's got to be that. Yeah. So if this game tanks, don't be surprised if Boss Key dissolves, is all I'm saying. And nobody wants to see that. Like, I don't want to see that. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I don't know. Moving quickly to, you did mention money. The one thing that you could spend money on with this thing was it has a $14.99 Founders Pack. And that got some heat because it included a 10% cash increase in there. So there were kind of complaints of pay to win. Like, if you bought the Founders Pack, you would have this thing that allowed you to gain more cash in the game. And since there is that economy for buying guns and whatnot, you could get better games or guns quicker, etc. They rolled that back pretty darn fast, which comes also at the same time that, okay, not exactly the same time, but fairly relatively, Middle Earth, the new one that came out, which we have decided to call Shadow of War and won't stop now.
No.
I couldn't tell you the actual title of it now. If you actually,
it's called Shadow of War.
If you asked me, no, okay, fine. There's, they're taking out all of the microtransactions from that thing.
The war chests, all that.
The stupidest statement I've ever freaking seen from Monolith. Quote, the core promise of the Nemesis system is the ability to build relationships with your personal allies and enemies in a dynamic open world. While purchasing orcs in the market is more immediate and provides additional player options, we have come to realize that providing this choice risked undermining the heart of our game, the Nemesis system.
Yeah. Thankfully, you guys realized that a full year after you'd gotten all the money from it.
Well, that's why I think it's stupid. I don't think they're just now realizing that.
No, of course they're not.
If they are just now realizing that, like, I'm never going to buy a game from them again. Like, how did that one get by you? You know? Like,
no, that is very clearly a walk back, because they don't want to say, "Oh, well, we got all your money." No, because look, here's what happens. Here's what happens with this. If they leave all that stuff in, right? Game of the Year edition, people don't want to buy that because now they know, I've got all the DLC, but I'm still got all that crap. No. Pass. This way, they've gotten all the money they can bilk out of people from that particular system. Now they can sell a Game of the Year, a whole brand new version of the Game of the Year, that's gonna sell. Because now people are going to go, oh, there's no microtransactions. All the DLC is in the game. I will spend the other $50. They are double dipping on people, man. And they're totally going to succeed with it.
The most we can hope is that it wasn't the plan from the beginning. But, hey, it's impossible to talk about any of this without bringing Star Wars Battlefront 2 into the conversation. which we've talked about at length. And we also mentioned not too long ago when they were doing this latest overhaul, they were bringing back microtransactions finally. They've essentially turned it into a cosmetics thing, which, everybody told them
like everybody else.
Yeah. So what I'm working towards here with all this backtracking and, a player outcry that's kind of resulting in all these changes, did we win the war?
No.
Against this thing? Okay.
No. I think this was a battle that for this shorter period of time, with these specific games, I think that a line was drawn for a majority of players that are interested right now during this time, and that impact was felt. We did see Battlefront have to pull things back. We saw that. That was direct retaliation or direct reaction to player outcry.
Right.
We found that Jim Sterling went out of his way to call this stuff out multiple times, and in doing so has helped push this line a little bit closer to probably where we want to see it, where after Battlefront, along with Shadow of War making their change, there have been a couple of publishers that have come out and developers come out and say, we don't want to do that now, because now we're actually concerned with how it's going to impact sales. So good. That's a battle that was won. Did we win the war? Not even close.
If anything, it's a battle that we won because they shot themselves a bunch. Like they got real excited with their guns. We're like, oh no, and they just
it is. And all this is going to do is it's going to remind them that for them to bilk more money out of people, you have to do it incrementally. You can't go full bore with the Battlefront 2 of we're going to sell you everything, and whoever wants to buy it, fine. Let them have their advantage. Nobody's going to care. You can't do it. People care, especially when you've got an IP that people know. Like, This is one where maybe Shadow of War is not as impacted, and it wasn't. It was not nearly as impacted. It did get people complaining about the loot crates, but then you few weeks later had enough people come out and say, okay, I've been playing long enough to know they don't really impact anything.
It wasn't Battlefront 2 by far.
But it's not Star Wars. And that's the thing, like Lord of the Rings, still a huge prospect, still a huge property. Clearly in this particular aspect of gaming, that game does not have the pull that Star Wars does.
And I think that's why Radical Heights is still instructive, because they came out with this Founders Pack with a little bit of pay to win in there and brought it back immediately when there was an outcry. Like, they're going to keep trying. They're going to keep doing stuff like this. Anybody from smaller companies to the bigger companies, especially. The bigger companies probably going to hide it a little bit better, maybe. Well,
easier for them to do it. I mean, Radical Heights is a great example of why did they do that? Well, if we talk about, if we go back to your initial positing of the fact that this might be it for them, that would explain why they're trying to get money out of a small package. Here, we'll give you a little pay to win because we're going under.
The war isn't over, but they're more scared of us than they have been in the past. Maybe that's that. If we can take anything away from it, probably that. If you can take anything away from anything, it's that this show's been going on for probably over an hour now, and we should wrap it up.
I'm feeling wrapped out. I tell you what, here's what's going to happen. You're going to listen to this show. You're going to tell your friends about it. You're going to share it. You're going to go to zeropoints.com because you're going to want to know what's going on. So we're going to tell you here, this is what's going on. I'm going to spend more time this week playing Dead by Daylight.
What's going on?
I'm going to try and finish out Far Cry 5. That's what's going to happen. Okay. This week also, special introductory price of $0. I'm going to try and get into Sea of Thieves finally. Final release.
I thought that was what happened this weekend. I feel like you mentioned some Sea of Thieves over the weekend, and then you mentioned a nap, and I feel like one of those happened and the other didn't.
Neither happened.
Dang.
But this week, and for sure, if you're available over the weekend, let's do Sea of Thieves.
Okay, all right. That sounds like a plan.
What about you? Tell me.
More of, I don't know. I feel like I didn't talk about this, but I played some more Uncharted, and I'm like 8% from the ending of that game, but we had to stop. So I might have 5 more words about the ending about how that story actually wraps up, but that shouldn't take long. And then I might actually get into some Star Wars Battlefront. Speaking of the game that ruined everything, they're doing some new mode. Okay.
Edna mode.
It sounds like they're doing some sort of Ewok survival horror infection game type.
Oh.
It takes place on Endor. One team is Ewoks, one team is Stormtroopers. Whenever the Ewoks kill a Stormtrooper, they become an Ewok.
Are you kidding?
That just keeps going. No.
Okay. I'm not buying the game, but that's fun.
No, it sounds like the more I read it, I was like, oh, this is fun little Ewok game mode. I'm like, wait, this sounds like a survival horror. Wait a second, I'm going to play some of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For 5 minutes. Again, not a lot to talk about, but hey, that's 2 games already, and I feel like I'm already overpromising. So
sounds good. Kate,
hit
us up at 0_H_P on Twitter. Come to 0hitpoints.com. If you got something you want to say, podcast at 0hitpoints.com. Come back on Thursday for Book Club for Movies. This week, we're going to talk about A Quiet Place. Next week, who knows? It could be something totally different, and it probably will be. But just wait. It'll be fun.